solid. The liquid turned into a solid. What is that called? Am I free right? Oh yeah, that's called freezing. So I need to add detail to that. The liquid turned into a solid, which is called freezing. The reason why the pond turned to ice in the winter was because heat was taken away. What was heat taken away from? Oh yeah, it was taken away from the liquid, not from the solid. Heat was taken away from the liquid. This caused the particles to slow down and move closer together. This caused the water to ice. This caused the water to ice. This caused the water to change to ice. Now I get to read it backwards. And watch how I read it backwards. I'm going to start with my last sentence. This caused the water to change to ice. That makes sense. I'm going to read the next sentence. This caused the particles to slow down and move closer together. That makes sense. The reason why the pond turned to ice in the winter was because heat was taken away from the liquid. That makes sense. I'm going to read the next one backwards. The liquid turned into a solid, which is called freezing. Period. That makes sense. And one example of water changing from a liquid to a solid is a pond turning to ice in the winter. That makes sense. So I read it backwards. Now I'm going to read it one more time forwards to make sure it all flows. Let's see if I got this. I'm really excited. One example of water changing from a liquid to a solid is a pond turning to ice in the winter. The liquid turned into a solid, which is called freezing. The reason why the pond turned to ice in the winter was because the heat was taken away from the liquid. This caused the particles to slow down and move closer together. This caused the water to change to ice. Raise your hand if you feel like that feels like a pretty good open response. Hands down. Now I'm going to tell you the why behind reading it backwards. You're probably like, Miss Savage, you read it backwards. The reason why is a lot of times when you read something from the beginning to end, your brain fills in blanks by itself. I know I've made that mistake on your homework where I've been typing and I think I actually wrote a word and I missed it and I read it over forwards and I really didn't write the word, but in my head I wrote the word. Raise your hand if you've seen that happen to me. I'll be honest, I've made that mistake. Yeah, hands down. So when you get the chance to actually read it backwards, starting with the last sentence, you're able to really focus on those mistakes. So you read it forward, you read it backward, you read it forward. Someone tell me how you read to check and edit your response. Jakaya. And when you're reading, what are you looking for again? What should you be looking for when you're doing your reading? Lizette? Please check Lizette.
What you wrote, did it make sense?
If it makes sense, and also what else should you be looking for besides does it make sense? Haja in the back? Make sure you're checking Haja.
You should be looking for mistakes.
What type of mistakes, Haja?
Word mistakes, like you can miss the word right without a period.
Okay, period, grammar, spelling. Okay, hands down. Right now, write what I have on the board on your draft, and then you're going to practice this with your partner. You should be